sport. Hey, one more question for you. Are you ready to fire Tony Evers? Are you ready to fire Josh Call? Are you ready to elect the next governor of Wisconsin, Tim Michels? How about put someone in office who's going to be a top cop, who's going to control the law and make sure it's done properly, and Eric Tony? We've got a chance to take all 5 constitutional offices, not just the governor, lieutenant governor, and the attorney general, but the secretary of state and the treasurer. It's all on us. When we're around the state with the candidates, it is so great to see everybody, but I'm going to ask 2 favors of you. How many of you already voted early? Thank you so much. If you've got time to still help us out on Tuesday as observers, please talk to Kathy and Matt. Secondly, how many of you guys have one of these? Anybody got a smartphone? Great. Anybody got just a couple of contacts on here? Message everybody. Tell them that you're voting for Tim. Tell them that you're voting for Ron. Tell them here that you're voting for Fitz. And you need them to vote as well. We need all of the voices we can out here. Yes. We've got to get this done now. It's all on us. You guys have done a phenomenal job up to this point. We have got, from 2020, we only had 1,200, 1,400 people that are watching the polls, our inspection workers. This year we have over 5,000. We have shifts covered. Janelle's done a great job showing and exposing what's been going on in Milwaukee County. We're getting a tail on that, but it's all on you. One other thing too, now is my county chair hat, or county executive hat. There's 2 referendums that are on the ballot here in Waukesha County. They are language that is being used by the legislature to ensure that we have open, fair, and equalized elections across the state. So vote yes on those 2 referendums if you would, please. Tell everybody else the same thing. Our goal is to blow the doors off on this election. This is it, you guys. We've got to get it done for everybody across the board. I want to thank you for all your hard work up to this point. We got a couple of days left. We're running around the state right now with the candidates. As Terry said, they're zigzagging back and forth. It's on us to talk to everybody we know in the next 3 days to say it's time to get out to vote on Tuesday. Not only for Tim, not only for Eric, not only for Ron Johnson, but we got to get this guy reelected too. I've worked with him in the state senate. He was my boss back then. He's still an incredible individual. What he's doing for us out in Congress right now, give a big round of applause for Scott Fitzgerald. Hey, everybody. If you see a guy in his underwear with a hammer running around in the parking lot, it's Paul Pelosi. What's going on? I think everything's coming unglued at the seams here in the last couple of weeks. I'm not sure. But I think it's good for us. I feel better now than I did the last time we were in Waukesha County. Right here, again, we've got momentum. It's continuing. We're getting better and better every day. As we're out there in the district, the feedback is incredible. The Democrats cannot fight through the bad messaging. Even when they want to talk about democracy is in limbo, their own members are going back to the message of inflation is killing us. So we're ready to go back out to D.C. We're ready to roll up our sleeves. Ryan Stile, Glenn Grothman, the whole congressional delegation. Derek Van Orden III is going to be successful as well. And we're going to have 6 Republican members in Congress going back to D.C. for this next session. And I see a lot of familiar faces, people who have been doing this for a long time. And we just need you to dig deep one more time, and like they say, run through the tape. Run through the tape. Let's finish strong on Monday. Get everybody you can to the polls on Tuesday, and we're going to have great success statewide. So thank you very much for your effort, and we look forward to working with you beyond the elections as well. It's also my pleasure being here this afternoon to introduce one of those individuals that's on the ballot that we need you to talk to every one of your family and friends about, because now we're down to actually asking people to go in that booth and pull the lever for individuals. The next Attorney General for the state of Wisconsin, Eric Tony.
I think fourth stop of the day, but are we ready to win in 3 days? We're going to do that because of all of you. I have visited all 72 counties, just about 100,000 miles. The energy is all across Wisconsin, but we can't let up. We need to keep pushing through Election Day. What else will you do to help make sure we are successful? Who wants to wake up on November 9th and say, I wish I had done more? So what will you do between now and Election Day? Because, make no mistake, public safety is on the ballot. And I don't need to tell Waukesha County that, because the contrast could not be more clear. We've all seen the stories, we've seen the ads. Tony Evers and Mandela Barnes, their parole commission, has let out nearly 300 murderers, over 40 child rapists from prison. Has Tony Evers condemned it? No. Has Mandela Barnes condemned it? No. Has our top cop, our Attorney General Josh Paul, condemned it? No. Our Attorney General should be the voice for those families and the voiceless that are no longer with us, and he's remained silent. He's evil. I will stand up, I will speak for them, and I'm asking you to do the same thing. You have a special opportunity. On Election Day, you get to be a voice for the voiceless and those families that have had justice stolen from them. Will you give them a voice on Election Day? If you do that, we will be successful. But I have the great honor of introducing somebody I've known for over a decade, a man of integrity that has represented Wisconsin so well, our next Lieutenant Governor, Roger Roth.
Third, and we're headed to home. This is an incredible 3 days. 3 days until we start our great Wisconsin comeback. And I want to tell you, everywhere we go around our state, the enthusiasm that we are seeing is like nothing I've ever experienced before. People are ready. People are ready here in Wisconsin for some leadership. You know, if you look at what we've had these last 4 years, and I've seen it, had a front row seat in the state senate, and we've had a governor, an absentee governor. He hasn't been around, he hasn't been managing our state agencies, he hasn't been working for the people of Wisconsin, and people see it, they can feel it, and they are ready today to elect a leader, and to elect someone to go into Madison and take charge of our state agencies again. Right now in Wisconsin, there are 1 million kids in our schools, 1 million kids, kindergarten through 12th grade. They're learning how to do everything except how to read, how to write, and how to do math. And with Tim Michels as governor, he's a father of 3. I'm a father of 5 little boys. I want you to know that the bill I authored, that Tony Evers vetoed, universal school choice, Tim Michels will sign that bill. Recognizes, as you and I do, that it's not the right of government to tell us what school we have to send our kids to. Those rights belong to we the parents. Probably on no on no other issue has Tony Evers been as much of a failure as he has on crime and public safety. Now you have a governor, you know, that position, it can't do everything, but it absolutely can set the tone for the support of law enforcement here in our state. The governor has the ability, when it comes to judicial vacancies, to appoint judges who will prosecute to the full extent of the law. Tony Evers does not. The governor has the ability to fire district attorneys who are not prosecuting to the full extent of the law. Tony Evers won't. And with Tim Michels, you will get a guy who will fire John Chisholm on day one. So think about this with me for a second. We've got a governor, in fact the entirety of the Democratic Party, partnering with those who want to defund our police. But we've got a governor who supports district attorneys who don't prosecute. We've got a governor who appoints judges who won't sentence. If by some miracle a criminal who has done wrong finds themselves in prison, Tony Evers is letting them out the back door with his parole commission. And worst of all, our Governor Tony Evers, he has no remorse for the actions that he has done. And it's left to you and I, and our friends and our families, to go to the polls on Tuesday and vote him out of office. So I mentioned to you that we're traveling around the state. I mentioned to you the enthusiasm that we're seeing out there. It really is. I wish I could take each and every one of you with me and with Tim as we're traveling the state, just so you could see it up close. Because if you watch the television commercials, if you read the newspaper stories, you will have a completely different view and opinion of what is really happening right now in our state. It was Alexis de Tocqueville in Democracy in America. He said, America is great because it is good, and when it ceases to be good, it will no longer be great. This is what this election is about right now, having leaders in office, both in Madison and Washington, who will stand up for the American way of life, who will stand up for the truths that are espoused in our founding documents, who will stand up and support our government as it was articulated in the Constitution. And in Tim Michels, you have somebody who will do just that. So let me close with this. I'm an Air Force guy, 18 years in the Air National Guard. Tim Michels is an Army guy, 12 years in the United States Army. So I feel obligated every time I go out that I, mention something a little bit with the Army, just so our Army friends don't feel slighted. One of my favorite quotes comes from a General Douglas MacArthur. And he said that in battle, the difference between victory and defeat comes down to 4 little words. Too little, too late. Friends, we are absolutely in a battle, not just for the heart and soul of Wisconsin, but for our entire nation. And I want to ask of you to dig deep inside these next 3 days and do a little bit more. When we win on Tuesday, it will be because of all of the efforts of those here in this room and those replicated at all the events we're going to around our state. Recognize that the power to change the future course of our state and nation, it rests in your hands. Thank you for what you are doing. Thank you for what you will do. And God bless our great state. Thank you. And there's been no more loyal, a soldier on the front line of truth in our state is Brian Shimmy. I see this guy all over the state. He's traveling the state. He's on talk radio. He's making sure that our message gets out there. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you Brian Schimming.
How we doing, everybody? Is he going to make a great lieutenant governor, people? Let's hear it for Roger Ron. So, think about this. 9 times in 20 years, think about this. 9 times in 20 years in this state of 6 million people, we've had statewide races decided by less than 30,000 votes. 9 times in 20 years. So when we tell you the importance of every vote out there, it's important, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, we've been traveling the state. I've been traveling with Ron the last 7 days. And the response has been terrific, right? It's really, really been good. I mean, even in Madison. I'm a Republican from Madison. They've been calling me to come back to double the number. And I said to Ron the other day, I said, we were going by Madison, a real liberal area in Madison, and some guy's going by in his car, lowers the window, and gives us the finger. And somebody in the bus said, boy, they sure are liberal around here. And I said, no, they're not. I said, I just saw a car go by. He lowered the window because he wanted Ron to know he thought he was number 1. So, I'm telling you though, it's been great all over the state. And one of the terrific support folks that we've had, both Ron and Tim have both had, and I mean seriously terrific. We've had great help from our delegation, from Fitz, from Glenn Grothman. But I'll tell you what, very few people take a back seat to our next speaker. Let's hear it for Congressman Brian Stile.
Let's hear it for Brian Schimming. Isn't Brian great? He's been on the road with Ron and Tim. Are you guys ready to win on Tuesday? Are you guys ready to fire Nancy Pelosi on Tuesday? Are you guys ready to fire Governor Evers and hire Tim Michels on Tuesday? And are you guys ready to re-elect U.S. Senator Ron Johnson on Tuesday? You can feel the energy. People are getting crushed right now. People are getting crushed right now under Democratic one-party control. I tell you, I look out and I see so many friends here in Waukesha County, and I tell you, it hurts sometimes to know I got gerrymandered out by Governor Evers, the guy who didn't like gerrymandering. So I spend my time in a bunch of areas now that are new, places that have been historically Democrat. But let me tell you, they're getting crushed just the same. And this is the opportunity to share that message on the home stretch. I was in South Milwaukee the other day. I was at a gas station, and some of the media came with us. And I walked up to a woman who was getting gas in her car. And there was a television camera and a reporter and myself. She probably thought she was winning Publishers Clearinghouse. She did not. And I came up to the car, and usually to kind of start a conversation after they run their credit card and safely put it back because crime's out of control. Came up and I said, what does it cost you to fill up your car with gas? And she looked at me and she said, Brian, I don't know. Because I got 40 bucks, and 40 bucks doesn't fill up my tank with gas anymore. And I'm struggling to pay the grocery bill. And she pointed to her daughter in the back seat of the car and looked at me and said, Brian, I can't afford to take my daughter out to pizza on Friday night because costs keep going up. I'm sick and tired of it. We talked and she said that she had voted for Biden. And if you go to these areas that are historically voted for Democrats, you know that's the case. But inflation and runaway spending in Washington, it's clobbering everybody. But it's in particular, it's clobbering seniors on fixed incomes and lower income workers. This Tuesday is our opportunity to bring help to so many families that are struggling to get by. We have an opportunity in Washington, D.C. to unleash American energy. We got a president of the United States who went to Saudi Arabia to beg for oil. He should have been going to North Dakota and West Texas. Do you agree? And what did Saudi Arabia do? Teamed up with Russia and OPEC Plus and reduced the amount of oil and gas that's being produced? What's happening here? People are getting clobbered. And it doesn't only show up at the gas stations. It shows up at the grocery stores because we in Wisconsin know that there's a diesel-powered tractor that's out in the fields, and there's a diesel-powered truck that's bringing it to your grocery store, and it's a natural gas-powered power plant that's running the electricity to keep the lights on and the goods cold. We got an opportunity to change course and unleash American energy. Are you with me? We've got a huge opportunity to change the course on the runaway spending in Washington. The runaway spending in Washington is driving inflation, making it harder for you to get by every day. Tuesday is our opportunity to say enough's enough to the Biden administration. And let me tell you, here in the state of Wisconsin, we have an amazing opportunity to get rid of Governor Evers, and in particular stand with the men and women of law enforcement. Are you with me? Congressional district, as a lot of you know, goes from here, goes south all the way through Racine and Kenosha County and includes the city of Kenosha. And let me tell you, if there's one failure that I remember of Governor Evers, it's when he refused to send the resources that were needed to the community of Kenosha when Kenosha needed help. There's a lot of Trump hats out here. I was on the phone with President Trump talking about how we needed to get resources into the community of Kenosha to stand with the men and women of law enforcement and make sure that we keep communities safe. Because everybody has a right to feel safe in their home. Absolutely everyone. And I know that Tim Michels is going to stand with men and women of law enforcement like we do because we back the badge. Are you with me? So much is at stake at this election. But this is our opportunity to make a statement to get our country back on track. But we can't do it without you. And what's needed is for everybody here to get out and vote. How many of you have already voted early? And how many of you are voting on Tuesday? We need everybody who raised your hand on Tuesday and everybody who raised your hand early to make a plan to get yourself, your friends, your family out to vote. Because this election is absolutely, absolutely essential. And as you look out at the forecast on Tuesday, it might be partly cloudy, but let me tell you, I think there's going to be a red wave on Tuesday. So Tuesday is our opportunity to take our state back, take our country back. Are you ready? If we can do it, we can fire Nancy Pelosi once and for all. With your help, we're going to re-elect U.S. Senator Ron Johnson on Tuesday. And we're going to give a big welcome for our next governor we're going to elect on Tuesday, Tim Michels.
In case you haven't been out on the campaign trail much, everywhere I My lovely bride of 27 years goes everywhere with me, my wife Barbara. Yes, indeed. She's razor sharp, smart, has tremendous political instincts. I know I'm a little biased, but I think she's going to make one heck of a great First Lady. We'll start. All right, little inside news, little insight. I know a lot of you have been working very hard. Yesterday morning, we got our latest polling numbers, and they are the strongest numbers yet. Do you know, like from, I'll say 10 days ago until 5 weeks ago, there was probably 15 or 18 different polls. You put them all in a dice cup and you shake them out in the bar top. It was unbelievable. It was 47.3 to 47.3. It's almost statistically impossible to get that exact. But in the last 10 days or so, we're starting to separate. People know it is time for change, and changes are coming. So, you know, I don't care about the polls at all. It's nice when you're winning, but here's the thing. The anecdotal evidence, the enthusiasm factor. Everywhere we go, we are getting tremendous crowds. We were in the bowling alley up in Phillips, Wisconsin a couple days ago. The fire marshal probably had the thing rated for about 65 people, max capacity. I think we had well over 300 of them hanging off the rafters. The stories go on. Bars, bowling alleys, taverns, supper clubs. People are fired up and ready for change. And I'll tell you what, I started measuring the enthusiasm factor, okay? So there's the positive enthusiasm everywhere we go. And, you know, hundreds, 500, because Barbara and I, we go to public events. We go to Pumpkin Fest, and there's some Democrats there. Right? And we go to the Packer game, and we work the tailgating for an hour and a half before. And I'll say 4 or 5 weeks ago, I'd get a handful of negative comments. Be like, oh, boo, Tim, you're a bum, go home. You know what I'm getting for negative comments today? Boo. That's it! They're demoralized. They know they're on the wrong side of the issues. They know that inflation is up. They know that crime is up. They know the education test scores are down. They know your 401k value is down. They have nothing to run on and win on. The red wave is a-coming. Speaking of the red wave, we've got a great ticket here. I'm very excited. Amy Laudenbeck, John Leiber, Eric Tony going to be your next Attorney General as well. On the ticket with me, Senator Roger Ross. You know something? I'm very happy that Roger is going to be my Lieutenant Governor. He was president of the state Senate. So we all know there's a lot of tricks and games that are played in the Capitol and around Capitol Square. And I'm going to be a bold executive leader. But I'm so happy that Roger is going to be my Lieutenant Governor. Because when they come to me and they say, Governor Michels, you can't do that. I'm going to go to Roger and I'm going to say, Roger, can we do that? He's going to say, oh, yes, you can. And we're going to get stuff done. And what are we going to get done? We are going to get election integrity back in the state of Wisconsin. Yeah, I get really fired up about this issue. Why? I took the oath of office. I swear to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States. And by the way, how many of you took an oath out there? How many veterans are out there today? Wow, Terry, you've got like half a battalion in here. This is awesome. Yeah, That wasn't a 12-year oath for me when I went 12 years on active duty as an Army Ranger. 4-year oath, 6-year oath, that was a lifetime oath. If we do not have election integrity, our entire constitutional system comes crumbling down. And this is not a Republican issue. This is an American issue. I don't care if you're a Republican, an independent, or a Democrat. Nobody should have questions about elections. And we're going to work with the legislature. We're going to get those bills right. The bills that Tony Evers vetoed. And we're going to stop the out-of-state billionaires coming in and taking over our elections. The second thing that we're going to get done is we are going to do education reform here in the state of Wisconsin. I went to public school, K through 12 in Elmira, about an hour north of here, just south of Fond du Lac. It worked for me. You go to Elmira too? Horicon, you're our rivals. The Marshmen. Hey, but it worked for me, but that was over 40 years ago. Education in Wisconsin continues to go down. How do we know that? The state education test, it's called the forward test. The numbers continue to go down. The national education test, it's called the NAEP test. The numbers continue to go down. And by the way, if there's one thing that should be going well under Governor Evers' administration, it's education. He can't even do that right. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to do universal school choice. We're going to put parents back in charge of their children. Parents are concerned. They're concerned, and they go to the school board meeting, and they say, I don't like what you're teaching, and I don't like how you're teaching. And the administrators, they go, we know what we're doing. We're the educrats. We're smarter than you. Well, they're not doing well on education, and they're indoctrinating our kids. It's going to stop. We're going to put parents back in charge of education. We're going to stop the CRT and get back to the ABC. Third thing we're going to do, we're going to get crime down in the state of Wisconsin. Do you know that crime went down in America from 30 years ago until 2 years ago? I think it was because of technology. There's cameras everywhere, forensic testing, DNA testing. But 2 summers ago, it all changed. I believe it's a byproduct of the defund the police movement. Yep. We got to this crazy spot in America. Less cops is better? And cops are bad? I don't buy it for a second. What do I mean by cops are bad? Barbara's brother's in law enforcement. He's a cop. He tells me the stories. He said, you know, Tim, I used to go to my backyard neighborhood barbecue and my neighbors would say, Greg, come on in, Greg, have a beer. We back to blue. Tell us some stories. 2 summers ago, it all changed. He'd go to the same backyard neighborhood barbecue. His neighbor would say, hey, Greg, come on in, but we're not so sure we're supposed to like cops anymore. That's intentional. That's bad leadership. That's Joe Biden's liberal cronies in Washington, D.C. Tony Evers' liberal cronies in Madison, trying to tear down the fabric of our society. I'll tell you what, if they want to end America as we know it, I'm going to go down fighting! I'm going to stand with law enforcement. I will stand with the men and women in law enforcement. And these catch and release DAs, I'm going to fire them. Everywhere I go in this state, from Superior to Kenosha, from Sheboygan to La Crosse, Fond du Lac, Waukesha, everywhere in between, people tell me, you know what? Tim, the fundamental role of government is to protect our society, to protect people, protect families, and protect property. And change is a-coming. I am going to talk to the bad guys on my election victory night next Tuesday and on my inaugural speech. I doubt if they'll be listening, okay? But I'm going to say, hey, it's over. Do you know why they're doing so much crime? somebody did an interview with the Kia boys. You know that one car stolen every hour, 365 days a year in Milwaukee? And a journalist went out, found these guys. They're 13-year-old, 15-year-olds. Said, why are you doing this? They said, because we're going to get away with it. Nothing's going to happen. That's going to change. We're going to get Eric Toney to be the Attorney General. We're going to tell the bad guys it's over. But know this, from my first day in office till my very last day in office, whether it's 4 years from now, 8 years from now, whatever, I am always going to be about jobs in the economy. I am always going to stand up for the hardworking men and hardworking women in Wisconsin. And I'm not some candidate up here just talking about it. I've done it. I've created jobs, created thousands of jobs, thousands of non-union jobs, thousands of union jobs. I've met payroll. We're going to have a fabulous. Yeah, I see the Labor for Michels placards out there. You know, everywhere I go, everywhere. It happened today, it happened yesterday, the day before. Guys come up to me and they go, you know, Tim, I'm in the union. I've been voting my whole life. And the union says, got to vote for the Democrats. And these guys say, Tim, they're steam fitters, they're carpenters, they're teamsters, operating engineers. And they say, 90% of the guys at work are voting for you because we all feel like the Democratic Party. They say, you know what I want to do? I want to go to work. I want to raise my family. Maybe go to church on Sunday. I want to go to my kid's ball game. And in you, Tim, I see someone who wore boots his whole life. 12 years wearing Army boots on active duty as an Army Ranger. 25 years wearing steel-toe boots, leading the men and women at Michels Corporation. They are ready for change, and they say the Democratic Party has left us. They're all about the acronyms now. They're all about LGBTQ and CRT and BLM. I want a governor and a government that's going to let me raise my family and stay out of my life. Yeah, I am an outsider. I am a businessman. I am a non-politician. I know how to make plans, execute plans, solve problems. I've met payroll. We've never missed payroll in the 62-year history of the company. Tony Evers, he's never even run a lemonade stand. Anybody watch any TV lately? Seen any political ads on TV? Don't worry, Wednesday's coming. It's almost over. And by the way, you're looking at a real life radical here, I guess. You know what, I make no apology. We run a great company. Oh, here's some of the ads. The 5 numerous and multiple harassment allegations at Michels Corporation. Here's the numbers, so you can talk it up over the next few days, tell people the truth. 5 allegations over the 62-year history of the company, and 0 have been proven true. Here's the bad part. Thank you. I'm not saying it's a good number, bad number. You can make your own assessment with over 8,000 employees and probably 100,000 people over the last 62 years. Tony Evers wants to be the leader of this state for another 4 years. Tony Evers wants to be the leader of our Wisconsin economy for another 4 years. And he is slandering a great Wisconsin company for political gain. That has to change. That's what this election cycle is all about. Do we want change? Do we want a governor who will do anything for political gain? The insiders, the political establishment, or is it time for an outsider, a businessman, the way our founding fathers intended it? Our founding fathers wanted people from all walks of life. Back in the day, I'll say butcher, baker, candlestick maker. And they wanted them to go to the Capitol building, serve for a term or 2, and then go back home and let somebody else do it. We have to stop these career politicians, these outsiders. It's time for an outsider. I give you my pledge. I will always stand up for the hardworking men and women in Wisconsin. When I grew up in that little town, hour north of here, Brownsville, helping the farmers bale hay and pick rocks. And by the way, does everybody know what picking rocks is? Yeah, and then 9 years old. 9 years old, my dad puts a shovel in my hand, puts me to work. I learned a great work ethic from some tremendously wonderful people. And you know what else they taught me about besides a great work ethic? Your word is your bond. If I shake your hand, if I look you in the eye, I say I'm going to do something, it's as good as gold. We need more of that in government today. But these men and women that I worked with my whole life, in the Army, in construction, they get up early, they work hard, it's hot, it's cold, it's dirty, it's dusty, it's dangerous. They deserve to have a governor that works as hard as they do. They deserve to have a governor that's going to stand up for them and their family. That's what this election is all about. That's what my administration is always going to be about. Hardworking families in Wisconsin. I ask for your help. I ask for your support. Together we are very powerful. Together we can and will beat Tony Evers. Together we're going to elect a conservative governor next Tuesday, and we're going to take Wisconsin. Remember earlier when I was talking about the strong ticket that we have? I didn't forget, okay? Our U.S. Senator in the state of Wisconsin, Ron Johnson, has done an absolutely fabulous job over the last 12 years. We need to get him reelected. Take control of the U.S. Senate. Ladies and gentlemen,
let's face it, we're here primarily to say thank you. Thank you, Terry Dietrich, for running a great party. Thank everybody here in Waukesha County for all that you've done and all that you will do. We had a special guest speaker yesterday on the bus, Ryan Priebus. Remember Ryan? I just want to talk seriously about what we were talking about on the bus. You all remember President Biden when he took his oath of office. I'm talking about the divider in chief now, okay? So he took his oath of office, gave his inaugural address. 8 times during that speech, he said his number one goal was to unify and heal this country, right? So what Reince and I were talking about was how to unify and heal this country. And it wasn't just shop talk, it wasn't frivolous, it was a serious discussion. How do we unify and heal this country? That's what we have to do. Everything President Biden and his allies in Congress have done over the last 2 years has weakened this country. If you take a look at the massive deficit spending, if you take a look at the war on fossil fuel, the skyrocketing crime, the open borders, the deadly drugs, the embarrassing and dangerous surrender in Afghanistan, all of these things have weakened this country and tempted tyrants like Putin to invade Ukraine and commit their war crimes and atrocities. Obviously, it's causing all you and your families so much pain. But I would say the greatest offense, and I'm going to say of the left, for decades, is the division they have sown in this country. It's not coming from us. What is so galling, what has been so galling over the last 6 years, as the left points the fingers, as President Biden says, you're a bunch of semi-fascists, or potential terrorists, or Hillary Clinton says you're a bunch of deplorables.
Or candidate Biden's or candidate Obama says, you're clinging to your guns and your religion. And quite honestly, my opponent, similar comments. But this rhetoric about God and country and guns is every bit as dangerous as Islamic terror. As we've listened to them falsely accuse us of doing exactly what they do, which is divide this country. Somebody's got to be the adult in the room. Because as President Lincoln said, a house divided cannot stand. And I would argue over the decades, the worst offense from the left in terms of what they have done to this country, I mean, bringing it to the brink, tearing us apart, is the division they've sown. So Reince and I were having a very serious discussion of what can we do to try and unify and heal this country, to assume President Biden's goal, which he's done the exact opposite of. We had a speaker come to our Senate lunch a few months ago, made a number of points, but the point that really resonated with me, he said, as conservatives, we're just terrible at defending our values. Then he granted us immediate absolution. He said, because we never thought we'd have to.
Right. That's right.
Whoever thought you have to defend the benefit of a family? That we'd be pushing back on government policies that destroy the family, that weaken the family. Whoever thought we would see biological males compete against our daughters, and then demand to shower in their girls' locker room, and then even worse, have an activist judge say, yeah, you can shower in the girls' locker room.
No.
Whoever thought we would have school administrators inject our children with gender-blocking drugs without telling their parents? Whoever thought this? I mean, go down the list of horribles. I mean, whoever thought that Congress would spend us $31 trillion into debt? Whoever thought a candidate for president would say he's going to end fossil fuel? I mean, do you understand how insane that is? It is, I'm sorry, it is insane. 80% of our economy is powered by fossil fuels. Globally, that's true. China and India aren't going to stop using them. We can keep inflicting this pain on ourselves, purposely drive up gasoline prices so you can't fill up your tank. It'll have no impact whatsoever on climate change. What insanity! Whoever thought that the solution to crime was to let criminals out on the street? Or to defund the police? Whoever thought that we would completely throw open our border, allow more than 3 million people come to this country illegally, be abused by the human traffickers, open up lanes for deadly drugs that's resulting in record numbers of overdoses? Whoever thought that, and whoever thought that the United States of America would turn tail and surrender in Afghanistan, emboldening our enemies? Whoever thought this? We never thought this could ever possibly happen. How did it happen? Well, yeah, radical leftists, no doubt about it, but radical leftists whose policies are amplified and supported by a mainstream media that is also comprised of liberals, right? It's just the truth. It's the same mainstream media that amplifies their lies during the campaign. Now, I was listening to a radio talk show, and one of the Senate candidates was on there describing the campaign his opponent was, employing against him. He said, "Yeah, my Democrat opponent is lying about me." distorting everything I say, assassinating my character, engaging in the politics of personal destruction, I'm thinking, gee, that sure sounds familiar. But that's all they have. And isn't that sad? That you've got a political party in this country. By the way, John F. Kennedy would probably be one of the more conservative members of the Republican Senate Conference today. The Democrat Party is not the party of our fathers and grandfathers. It is a party comprised of radical leftists like Mandela Barnes. People who on almost a daily basis we're finding out another tweet or another video or audio clip where he demonstrates his utter contempt and disdain for America, for law enforcement, for you. I mean, you saw the video clip, the founding of this nation, awful. We think the founding of this nation was a marvel, right? A crowning achievement in human history. President Obama was the first leader, Democrat leader, I remember saying that as a campaign promise, he was going to fundamentally transform America. President Biden parroted the same phrase, and I got to ask the question, do you even like, much less love, something you want to fundamentally transform? You know, I'm sorry, I'm just telling the truth. Democrat leaders don't particularly like this country. And I have to warn you, in our lifetime, we have seen Venezuela go from an oil-rich nation, probably the most successful country in South America, and the people of Venezuela voted themselves into poverty. They did it to themselves. That's what we're trying to avoid. That's why you're here. Now, we're not going to get help from the mainstream media. They're not going to tell the truth. They're going to cover up. They're going to cover up for the Democrats as Democrats are destroying this country. And that's what they're doing. Let's be frank and honest. The Democrat Party in current hands is destroying this country. Now, I realize that doesn't sound very nonpartisan. I realize maybe that doesn't sound like I truly want to heal and unify this nation. But you can't unify and heal something based on a bunch of falsehoods. You can't unify and heal it denying reality. And let's face it, Democrat leaders are as detached from reality as they are from the truth. And that's what we're up against. These people need to be stopped, they need to be defeated, they need a good shellacking on November 8th. That's where you come in, okay? I was listening to Mark Levin the other night, and he was talking to his audience. Again, of the hinge point we're here. This dangerous point in history. You know, in his book, he said, we must awaken to the urgency of the moment, and we're awake. What puzzles me is how come so many of our fellow citizens would elect leaders who don't like this country, don't particularly like half of this nation. Brainwashed. Well, again, it's the media. But this is up to us. So when Mark Levin asked his audience, he said, I don't care what you did in 2020 election. In 2022, you have to do more. Is she okay?
No, get her name.
Okay, we need somebody. Do we have a nurse or a doctor? Here we go. This is up. Hey, one more. Okay, give him some water. That reminds me right there who we are as a people, right? That's right. Amen. Now, I'm painting a reasonably dark picture here. I understand that, okay? I mean, right now our reality's not all that kind, okay, all that good. But what always continues to give me hope, and it always will, as I travel around the state, I've done it extensively, okay? Typically the last couple months, okay? What gives me hope are the kind and decent and helping and caring people that we meet over. And by the way, on all sides of the political spectrum. And that's about where I was going right with this thing, okay? Mark Levin's asking you to do more. I'm asking you to do a lot more. If you took 6 people to polls in 2020, take a dozen, take 2 dozen. If you talk to 10 of your friends and family members, talk to 100. But here's the key point. When I talk about their leaders that have disdain for this country and for you, I'm not talking about our fellow citizens. You know, certainly my belief is, it's born of what I've witnessed, is I think the vast majority of Wisconsinites Americans do love this country.
Yes.
Again, we are a kind and decent people. As a country, we are a phenomenal force for good in the world. It's also true 65-75% of Americans think we're on the wrong path, and we're on a disastrous wrong path. So I'm asking all of you, as you're talking to your friends, your family, neighbors, don't count anybody out. If they love this country, if they're concerned about its future, ask them to join us in healing and unifying and saving this country. Can you do that for me? Yes, somebody's got to be the adult, okay? Somebody's got to be the adult. Somebody's got to do this. It's got to be up to us, okay? So it is true that what's on the ballot is literally truth versus lies. That's definitely on the ballot. But what is really on the ballot has always been on the ballot since the moment of our founding till this moment, until as long as this nation exists. And again, our job is to make sure this nation exists for our kids and grandkids well into the future. What this election is, this is a fight for freedom. It's not someone else's fight, this is our fight, and it is a fight that we absolutely must win. So God bless you, God bless the office, God bless Wisconsin, God bless America. Thank you all. Get out there and work. Save this country.
please. All right. Stay around. Here we go. Woo! Thank you very much, folks. God bless you. God bless our candidates. Safe travels. Hey, let's go do it. Hey folks, a couple of things, listen up. We have literature over on the left table there. It's in packets of 100. So what we need you to do with Johnson and Tony and Michels, pick those packets up, go in your neighborhood, take the dog for a walk, take the wife for a walk, go in your neighborhood and put all those in newspaper shoots only. Newspaper shoots. Get those in those shoots in the next day. Walk your neighborhood, you got 100 to do, 100 houses. Get it done. Thanks so much. What else? Yeah, one other event coming up, folks. On November 7th, that's Monday afternoon at Waukesha Expo, we have Ron Johnson and Nikki Haley. Ron Johnson and Nikki Haley. Go ahead, sign up just go on Ron John's website. You can sign up for the event. Nikki Haley, Ron Johnson, 2 o'clock, Waukesha Expo on Monday. Thanks, everybody.